guys, welcome to another awesome episode of Explore. I'm your host, Bianca Spears, and today I've got Sunniva Holt with me. She is a self-made multi-millionaire. She's an author of two, not one, but two, #1 best-selling self-help books, The Hustle Life and Life on Your Terms. She's a speaker and a mindset coach, and she's well known as #QueenFire because of her unique gift to ignite people's inner fire and really help them to remember who they are. Now, she's big into manifestation. She's big into no bullshit. She is someone who, when she speaks, there's a lot of power and wisdom within it. And the reason I've got Sunniva on the line today is because I wanted to talk about her journey or her life really as introvert and Queen Fire at the same time, because there's a lot of people out there who are introverted and are like, how do I get in the public eye, and how could I be out there and copping flack and having lovers and haters and all kinds of things going on. So firstly, Sunny, welcome. Thank you so much for jumping on the line today.
Thank you for having me, my love. So good to be here.
So welcome. So you have built a couple of brands in your time. You've created millions of dollars through several different streams, and you've created massive followings from scratch and from scratch again, creating diehard fans and haters along the way. The first question I wanted to ask you, though, because it's something that was playing on my mind when I was sort of preparing for this interview, do you consider you definitely hands up, like, yes, I'm an introvert. Do you consider introverted and shy as the same thing or different?
They're different, yes. And I believe shy is a choice. Shy is something that we can hide behind. It's like, it can be an excuse. It's an excuse to go into a room and like hide in the corner and not put yourself out there. An introvert just means that you need a lot of your own space, right? So you can go out and do the public speaking, you can go out and do the events and run the workshops, but you're going to need to retreat and have a lot of space for yourself after those things to balance it out, right? Because all that energy can be quite intense for somebody that's more introverted.
And so would you say you were living in the shy space at some stage in your life?
Oh, yes. Yeah. Yeah, I was like that. You know, I grew up in a really isolated area, and I was homeschooled. My family was really religious, and so there was a lot going on that really created a lot more of that shyness. And it's something that I hid behind for years. Even in the work that I did, a lot of the work I was doing was enabled me to be in that mentality, right? So in property, I wasn't doing a lot of face-to-face stuff. I wasn't out there, you know, having to be around a lot of people. And the same with the food blogging. It was something I could hide behind. I never even put my face on my social media and things always together. And so it was something that I had to relearn, because I believe at our core that's not how we are. You know, if you look at children, most of them are so lit up, you know, that's their natural state. That's how we are supposed to be. And so it was kind of just getting back to my true self and unlearning to realize that that's not who I am, and putting myself out there and doing this work is actually truly me, and that's what I love to do.
And I actually met some people. I met Alexi Panos and Preston Smiles recently, and they actually mentioned what you were like when they first met you. And I didn't actually realize it was to that kind of extent, like really, really introverted, really shy, you know, fumbling with your words and that kind of thing. Like, what does that feel like to be in that space?
Horrible. Yeah. There was a word that was used to describe me at that time. It was invisible. And I did everything that I could to always hide, to play in the middle, to play where people wouldn't notice me. I didn't ever want to stand out. I didn't ever want to be in front of people. I just didn't want to be noticed. And so vividly remember those moments. And it just feels like you're not truly living life, like you're living a lesser version of yourself. Mm-hmm. So it feels like freedom to have moved away from that.
Mm-hmm. And in your work, do you find, because you're speaking about this on social media and things, that you do attract in introverted types and shy people who are looking to come out of their shell?
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, it's really interesting, all the correlations, but I would say the majority of people that I attract have so many similar qualities to me, and of course that makes it so much more powerful for me to be able to work with them, having been in their shoes.
Mm-hmm. And so what are some of the first steps that you would recommend to people if they're like, okay, I know I identify as shy, I am introverted, I don't want to be out there, I don't want to be seen, but at the same time, I do want to create a big impact. I do actually want to get out there and help people and not be hiding.
Yeah, it really is about taking that first step. What is that first step towards moving towards that goal? You know, it doesn't have to be jumping off the cliff straight away, or sometimes that's really helpful too, and that's kind of my preferred way of doing things. But it's looking at the big picture and going, well, what is it that I'm afraid of, and how can I just take that next step towards it? So if you want to be speaking on stages to 100,000 people, fantastic. The next step might be just doing a video on all of Facebook Live, right? And that will be scary enough. I remember if it was my first Facebook Live, it was definitely one of the very earlier ones, and I sat in front of the Go Live button for over 30 minutes, and I was shaking the entire time. And after I did the live, I went outside and filled up into a ball and actually cried, because that's how difficult that was for me. But which might seem ridiculous for some other people, right? But that's how it was for me. And there were a couple of really important things there. One was accountability, right? I've always got at least one coach, usually more. And it's so important, no matter where you're at. It doesn't matter how much money I'm making or what I'm doing, how much success I create, I will always have a coach, a mentor, somebody to be accountable to me, somebody to be accountable to, and hold me to my highest and call me on my shit, because we can't see our blind spots, right? It's like we need that outside person to pull us along a little bit. And the other thing that's been really powerful for me is just the reminder that I'm not going to die, right? Because we can often feel that way. There's the primal part of our brain that, you know, once upon a time, these kind of things, like feeling that fear meant that we were in threat of dying, literally. And so now when we feel fear, it actually does feel like we're going to die, but that's not the case, right? It's not the case if you stand on a stage, or if you're making a video or doing a Facebook Live or any of those things, you're not going to die. And so it's reminding yourself constantly, like, I'm not going to die. I can do this.
Yeah, that's super powerful, because it's that reptilian brain going, ah! So take us into, you mentioned the food blogging before. Now, I found this really interesting when we spoke about it offline, that you started a food blog. It became massive. You had a huge following. It was in the vegan space, which people can be very passionate about. And then something happened with your health, where your health was slowly deteriorating, and you were getting blood tests every year. And over 4 years, you realized, yeah, it's not actually beneficial for my body. So take us into, firstly, like building up that brand, like you were saying, you were hiding behind. what was it like building up that food blog?
It was so much fun because like anything I've ever done in my life, I just follow my passion. You know, with the property, it was something that I was really passionate about. I didn't go into it going, I want to make heaps of money. I went into it going, this is like playing Monopoly. I loved it. I love the mortgages. I love the numbers. I love the renovating. God, this stuff lights me up. And with the food blogging, it was the same thing. It lit me up so much. I loved creating. I loved the taking the photographs. I loved the interacting with the community. It was so much fun. And I never intended for that to become a business. And it just, I guess because I was so passionate about it and that's where my energy was going, then of course it just became really successful. So yes, it was a really challenging time coming out of that. It took me a whole year to come to terms with the fact that this was not working for me. It took me it really was like by the time I was not able to get through an entire day, that I had to go and have a sleep in the afternoon. I had my energy dropped so much. And at that point, I was like, well, this is not just impacting me. This is impacting my being a mum. This is impacting me being a wife and all the people around me because I don't have the energy or the capacity to even get through an entire day. And it was so difficult for me because that was my entire way of life. That was my way of being, right? So moving away from that was absolutely one of the biggest challenges I've ever had to face. It was like that version of me had to die. And of course, like the facing up to the vegan community was secondary to my own facing up to me. Do you know what I mean? It's like it was such a challenge for me making that transition. I wasn't so much concerned about the backlash, although I knew that would happen. I was much more in this war in my head. And so it was really, really difficult for me making that move because it went again against everything that I believed in.
Yeah, well, that's a huge thing, and a big reason that people do choose a vegan lifestyle is for the beliefs that they have and the ethics and whatever it is for them, whether it's around health, whether it's around the animals, the environment, whatever it is, they have very strong beliefs. And I know personally for me, I was very close to vegan when you and I had this conversation. And you said, yeah, it's not for everyone, it's not for every body type, and it doesn't always work for people. And it's been something for me during the pregnancy where I've come away from that, started eating more animal products, and it's been something that I've had to just create peace with, that's part of it, and that some of the things do point towards if I'm growing another human, I do need to consider that there aren't plant-based options that are going to get the same results as, say, something like fish oil. So yeah, I can relate to that in a tiny way, but definitely building your passion, your blog, your business, your following, and the community around that would be devastating. So what was it like for you when you made the decision?
Heartbreaking. Yeah, it was really like one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. And even after I started eating animal products, it took me a full year to stop feeling guilty about it, which was making me sick as well, right? Because I was living with so much guilt that even though it was fueling my body, my mind was still trapped in this kind of, this thing of like feeling like this is so wrong, even though I knew it was so right. And it took a lot of that mindset work, which is what we both do a lot of, right? It's of realizing that life is not an all or nothing, that when it comes to anything in life and health especially, there are no all or nothings, that we're all made up really differently, and I can still live with a lot of those same values and beliefs and do my best, but not have to do it all, or not have to be attached to a label.
Mm-hmm. And not also live at the detriment of your own health and well-being and happiness.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Wow. And so what was it like? What were the steps from there once you'd made the decision? Obviously starting to eat the animal products, but like on the business front or with the community, like what happened there? Oh.
Sorry, I had something come through. I came out, obviously, like I came out,
Mm-hmm.
and I was very honest about it, and I had a huge amount of backlash, and I expected that. I had death threats. I had a lot of constant angry messages. I had people actually make Facebook groups so they could band together. Sorry, that keeps coming up. Yeah, so they could actually band together and throw hate on everything that I was putting out, which was really interesting. So it was a really challenging time, but it actually helped me to grow a lot of resilience. And at the time, I was really challenged by it. It was something that I didn't know how to deal with. And now I'm so grateful for it, because I just love my haters now. I love them so much. Like, they need love more than anyone else, right? So, and it's just like this free entertainment, to be honest. They are quite entertaining. And I've found, which is one of the most interesting things I've found, is that some of my biggest haters have turned around and become my biggest supporters because of the way I've navigated it.
Mm-hmm. Right. Now, when you say that you love them, a lot of people on the line might be like, oh, you're just saying that so that you don't have to deal with the conflict of it. What do you mean by, like, how do you find love for people who are throwing hate at you?
Because it's not about me. It's not about me at all. This is coming from their own wounding, right? And it's the same with anybody in life. Like, when somebody comes at you, it's not about you. And realizing where that's coming from. They really do need it more than anyone else. They are in a really, they're feeling a lot of insecurity. They're feeling like a lot of turmoil in their own lives, and so they're just finding ways to deflect it out onto other people because they think it will make them feel better. But of course that it doesn't really, but it just gives them an outlet at that time. And so it's really understanding them and just getting inside the minds of those people. And you're like how can you can't hate on them, right? Because they really, it's not that even, I don't even believe that they're bad people, right? I just believe that they're wounded and damaged, and that they do need that love.
Very cool. Very cool indeed. You've got a daughter, obviously. And what is it like for her to grow up now seeing you shift through all of this? What effect do you think had on her going, oh, mum's going through this stuff and now she's up leveled and now she's like a total boss babe? What example do you think it sets for her to see you constantly up leveling?
Yeah, I think it's really powerful. And I would turn that around and say that I'm actually learning from her, because she is the true embodiment of empowered. You know, she has so much confidence. She goes up to strangers all the time and just starts conversations. She looks in the mirror and she's like, yeah, I'm like total badass. I look amazing. And so it's like I'm learning from her all the time how to be more confident, how to be more empowered, how to be like, she came up to me yesterday and she's like, I'm the fiercest of them all. I'm like, here you are. So
that's awesome.
She is my inspiration. She's my motivation to always be a better version of myself. Because I'm aware that it's not what I say, it's what I do and how I be that is passing on to her, the example that I'm being to her. And so I'm always wanting to do that work on myself and heal any wounded parts of myself So I'm being the best example I can.
Mm-hmm. That's so cool. And I love seeing the pictures crop up of you and you share very openly about your relationship with her and things that you guys are doing and photos of dressing up and that kind of thing. And it's really amazing. What does she want to be when she grows up?
At the moment, she says a singer. So I'm sure that will change like 1,000 times before she reaches an age where she'll actually go out and do something. I feel quite strongly that she will absolutely be an entrepreneur of some kind. It's just in her blood. So I already see those signs of her, like she's currently saving coins because she's like, I'm going to buy a Tesla.
Nice.
So she understands she understands the concept of money and how it works and of making money and saving money, and she wants to grow up just so she can, like, she's like, it's not fair that you guys get to make money. So she is really excited about being able to go and make that for herself.
And what do you believe around that, around pocket money or teaching kids about money and money management?
I teach her everything around that because of course it's so important, and it's something that I personally over the next few years, something that I'm absolutely going to do is go into schools and teach money mindset, because I believe it's such a big gap in our schooling system and something that needs to be introduced. I'm going to find a way to get in there and make it a part of the curriculum, or just get in there and be able to do one-off trainings or something. But kids need to know this stuff, because that's going to get them so much further than learning some history lessons or something that they're probably going to forget by the time they finish school. They need a lot of that practical education. And so, yes, I'm teaching her that, and I also want to be able to go out on a national or international scale and be able to teach that to children everywhere. That's
epic. One of the things I didn't actually know about you. I remember meeting you and being like, this lady's so quiet. I want to know more about her. She's fascinating. So on parenting and taking it into also the shy or introverted side of things, what do you think it would have been like for Lily to have been raised by the Sunniva of like 5 years ago?
Yeah, I believe there's always a combination of the nature versus nurture thing, right? And her natural way of being is quite extroverted, quite confident. But then, of course, if she was around me and that's the way that I was being, I'm sure that would have had an impact on her as well. I don't want to think about it, really. I don't want to go backwards and think like how it could have been, because I know my life was never actually meant to go in that direction, right? It's always been, this is always the way it was supposed to go, right? It was just the timing and when it was going to happen. Yeah, I knew right from being a young child that I was meant for really big things in the world. I think we all have that inherent knowing that we have so much potential, and it's just about unleashing it and doing that work to get there.
Totally. And what about on the haters front? Like, what do you think it's like for parents who may not be as apt with dealing with haters, to have their children bullied at school? What advice would you give to those parents?
I mean, at the moment, because that's not happened to my own child, it's a very difficult thing for me to answer, because it's all very well how I deal with it. I can tell her my understanding of it, and I absolutely do. Like I would pass on to everything that I experienced myself and how I see their way of being, right? And I will do that. But I don't want to give advice from a place that I haven't been. Because until that happens to your own child, like, you can't really answer that from a place of knowing, because I know what it's like when my child is threatened, then the claws come out, like you do everything in your anything possible to protect your child, right? But you've also got to teach them to grow up and be independent and strong in their own right.
Yeah, totally appreciate that. Thank you. Cool. So, Sunniva, if people want to connect with you, where's best to find you?
Yeah, so basically everything under Sunniva Holt, which I know is a tricky name to spell, but I'm sure you'll have the links somewhere in the show notes, sunnivaholt.com, or I hang out on Instagram and Facebook quite a lot. They're my favorite forms of social media, so people can I love to connect with people, so just reach out, and I'd love to meet some of you.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for coming on the line. Before we wrap up, as always, we are going to head into some laughter. Now, for those of you on the line who are like, what do you mean about that? And Sunniva, laughter yoga, laughter wellness, super powerful modalities for raising our vibe, for boosting our positive energy, for rewiring our unconscious mind when we do it as a regular practice, boosting our health, immunity, like all kinds of amazing things. So every time we jump on Explore, every guest I have a little laugh with. Today we're going to, I think we'll do two. So we'll do shy laughter, of course. And then we'll do hater laughter, where we will open a message on our phone from a hater and laugh and send love to them. So I'll lead the way. We'll start with shy laughter. Awesome. And now hater laughter. So you're going to get out your phone. Imagine that you've opened up a message from a hater and you're going to laugh and send them love. Beautiful. Sunny, thank you so much for jumping on the line today. It's been absolutely amazing diving into your world, understanding your breakthroughs, and taking your advice as well. Thank you so much. And guys on the line, this has been another episode of Explore. I'll see you soon.
Thank you so much for having me. Beautiful.
You're welcome.